before we did the first protocol, I remember him being very irritable and short-tempered. And he would hit his brother a lot. And so I felt like all his senses were very heightened. And then I remember that whenever we would get ready for a shower, we would turn on the shower and immediately had to go poop. It was odd. He had a lot of anxiety. So I felt like the first protocol, all of that really changed. Going to school, he had his own little playlist of music. So now we can listen to music. We can actually drive with the windows down, and he's not as annoyed. And we cooperate a lot more with our brother. I can't remember him hitting him now for a good year or two.
Another symptom that he had was the rash. He was born with eczema, and he still had a rash when I first met with you with him. It was on his legs, the knee, ankle, arms, elbows. And so is that rash still there, or has that gone away completely?
Yeah, that's completely gone.
The other symptom, which you did mention briefly a few minutes ago, was that when you mentioned water running, like getting into the shower, he had to go to poop. He had a bowel movement. Yeah. And it was every time, whenever he touched water touched him. In other words, he had a bowel movement.
Yeah.
And in addition to the water touching him, you had originally mentioned to me when we first spoke back in July of 2019, and today is July 9th of 2021, 2 years after we had originally talked, told me that even with thoughts of the water running, or water just touching his skin, or hearing the water running, made him have a bowel movement, made him feel like he needed to go have a bowel movement.
Yeah.
So it was in addition to the water touching his skin, it was even thinking of it or hearing it. So all of that totally disappeared now.
Yeah, that's gone. Yeah, gosh, that's such a faded memory now. I don't even, if you didn't bring that up, I would even forget that we ever went through that.
Hello, my name is Dr. Lonnie Herman. And in this video, you're going to hear how this woman, who we're keeping her identity private, how her son, who's only 7 years old, she had brought him to my clinic when he was 5 years old. And he had an eczema, he had a mood disorder, a very bad jealousy disorder, as well as he had this disorder wherever he heard running water or he felt water touch his skin, he had the urge to poop and actually had a bowel movement. Yes, that's right. A strange symptom. Whenever he heard water running or water touched the skin, he actually had a bowel movement. In part of this video, you're going to hear me talk about the exam findings. I'll give you a brief understanding about these exam findings. And also, I'm offering you right now to download my free ebook. And this is how you can literally reverse chronic illness with quantum medicine protocols. Now, in that book, near the second to last page of my book, there's a link that you can click on that will bring up this video where I describe my work. It's about 40 minutes in length. I describe my journey as a physician, as well as the type of examination process that I perform with people. So now let's get into his exam findings that helped him get rid of the jealousy, rid of the mood behavior disorder, get rid of the eczema, as well as get rid of completely the urge to poop whenever he heard water running or felt water touch his skin. Quite amazing. I found with him in August of 2019 in my clinic, his diencephalon of his brain, which, by the way, the diencephalon, I'll show you an image where it is in the brain right here. The diencephalon of his brain is an area in all of us actually that forms first when we're an embryo, and then it is still in the brain that helps us to develop brain function and control and regulate parts of the brain, as well as control and regulate parts of the body. When that part of the brain has infection and or toxin in it, it causes that part of the brain to malfunction, and then we have different symptoms that develop. I found black mold, influenza A virus, and influenza B virus affecting his diencephalon. I also found mercury affecting his diencephalon. Another part of his brain called the cingulate gyrus, which is a mood controlling part of the brain. The cingulate gyrus, when it's stressed, caused by infection and toxin, it can make us feel depressed. It can make us feel unhappy. It can make us feel hopeless. Well, his cingulate gyrus had the influenza B virus. It had influenza toxins, and it also had Lyme infection. I also discovered for his skin rash, I discovered 5 different Candida fungal infections. There were Candida albicans, Candida tropicalis, Candida parapsilosis, Candida krusei, and Candida glabrata. In his second examination, which was in February of 2021, a year and a half after I first met him, his mother brought him back to my clinic. He was doing better, but not completely healed. I found in his brain the xylocaine epidural chemical. Yes, when the mother was injected with the epidural in her back, it can actually, and it did for him, it can actually go through the umbilical cord and get right into the baby's brain and body parts. And the baby can actually be born coming out of the mother with certain malfunctions already right there at childbirth and live with developmental problems for years to come. I also found that his liver had parasitic infection. The liver had scabies infection as well as aspergillus fungal infection. The liver helps to regulate digestion. The liver helps to regulate hormones. And when the liver is stressed, stress can go to the brain and make the brain stressed as well. The liver infections can make a rash occur, and the liver infections can make the brain stressed because the brain knows that the liver is infected. So the brain can actually have improper signals going on in the brain that can make a mood disorder occur, a behavioral disorder occur. I found his stomach was infected with parasitic infection. I found his kidneys were loaded with the xylocaine epidural chemical and dental mercury from the parents. I also found his thyroid gland was infected with the Epstein-Barr virus and influenza virus and group B streptococcal bacterial infection. I furthermore discovered that in his diencephalon, he also had the group B streptococcus bacterial infection. I found the cortex of his brain, the outer part of the brain that controls the whole body. I found the xylocaine epidural chemical. And that's about all in that second examination. His parents helped him follow the protocol. They directed, very simple to follow, protocol at home. His mother contacted me, and you're going to hear in this testimonial how amazed she is and still is about how improved her son has, about how much improvement they're experiencing with their son. It's amazing. His jealousy is gone. He's loving his brother now. He praises his brother whenever he does something good. That was not before. He's very calm, loving. Also, his eczema has disappeared and not returned. And furthermore, the pooping sensation, the urge to poop and have a bowel movement whenever he hears water running or water touches his skin is completely gone. No more of that strange symptom. It is over. With my work, my rapid health restoration system, and you can learn more about this on my website. I'll put the link here down below on my website, on this video. I'll put the domain, as well as below this video in the description. I'll have the link down there. Learn more about my work, learn more about the different conditions I've helped people relieve themselves from. My work is very unique. I help people with chronic illness get well. If I'm going to do this work as a physician, I might as well help you and other people get the job done. And that's what this is all about. Results for people, great results for people. You can also find out about the cost with my work. Insurance does not recognize my work, so this will be an investment in yourself. You can find out about my costs, the location of my clinic, which airport to fly into, hotels around us, all those questions that people commonly ask. I'm going to share with you right here on this frequently asked question page on my website. Now it's time for you to get well. You can, and or your family member can get well with my help. Now you can listen to this woman's incredible testimonial. It's wonderful. She's very happy to share with you. Again, she wanted to be kept to keep her identity private. I appreciate that. But what she shares is really amazing, and she's so happy, and you can hear the smile behind her voice. It's just brilliant. So with that said, I look forward to helping you get well, or your family member get well, or your friend's family member get well. It can be done. Get prepared to heal with these quantum energized medicine protocols, and with my rapid health recovery system. I believe you've got a great chance of getting better and living your life with optimal health. I'll see you soon.
with me today a wonderful patient, a mother of a little boy who, when was he born? How old is he now?
He's 7 right now.
He's 7. So you both originally came to me for some problems that you noticed with him back in 2019. You came back again in 2021 for a second visit with him. Before you came to me, you had heard about my work with children and adults. You heard through other family members and friends around, right, in the community.
Mm-hmm.
You decided to come across to my clinic in South Florida from all the way across the United States, all the way up in the northwestern region of the US. And if you could tell us what his, the few symptoms that he had that you came to me for, and then we're going to talk about the improvement. But number one, there was an emotional problem, right? A communication problem. Can you elaborate on that?
So there was a whole list. I'm going to probably mix up what happened around round 1 and 2, but before we did the first protocol, I remember him being very irritable and short-tempered. And he would hit his brother a lot, and he would easily be triggered by any of his senses. So anything that felt off with his skin, so opening up a window or a t-shirt, irritating his arm, or music, any sound would irritate him. Now that I'm talking about it, I remember having to close his ears whenever we go to a public toilet to flush the toilet because it was too loud. And we never could listen to music on the road. And anything he would eat, textures were very weird. And so we have a very bland diet, very high starch, because bread is the only thing he likes to eat. And so it felt like all his senses were very heightened. And then I remember that whenever we would get ready for a shower, we would turn on the shower and immediately had to go poop. It was odd. It wouldn't happen any other time, just when you just turn on the shower, or he would step into the shower and he'd have to step back out just to go on the toilet. And he had a lot of anxiety. So I felt like the first protocol, all of that really changed. Going to school, he had his own little playlist of music. So now we can listen to music. We can actually drive with the windows down, and he's not as annoyed. And we cooperate a lot more with our brother. I can't remember him hitting him now for a good year or 2.
So in the past, he was jealous with his brother and would hit him?
Yeah. So So we could not compliment his little brother. It was right away. Yeah, it would go right away to jealousy. And so I'm not seeing jealousy right now or hitting. And if there is a little win with his little brother, say for an example, he had a fear of swimming, and I don't know when it started, but he overcame his fear. He jumped into our swimming pool and he just looked at his little brother and said, "You know what? You overcame your fear. High five."
Wow.
And there was encouraging. He was happy for his win. I never, ever used to see that.
Beautiful.
So, and I see those little wins just throughout the week. "Buddy, you did this, great job. I remember this was hard for you." That was not my son. I love seeing who he is right now. That's awesome.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So before, he would actually get mad and hit his brother if his brother was doing something that you approved of his brother.
Yep.
And it was a big problem in the house.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What a difference.
Yeah, that's really big. And then the second time, I think what is really noticeable is his PTSD with school. He hated school so much. So for kinder and first grade, I took him to a public school, and every time he would drive through drop off, he would hold onto his car seat and threaten me, "I'm not getting out." And so I'd drive around 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, and the nice ladies would open the door and actually unbuckle him to help me out, to get him out. And he would threaten, he would warn me, "I don't like that I'm doing this." So now I have him going to a little private school. So there's only 5 students. I didn't expect him to even like that, but he's loving it. And so right now, when I pull up to drop him off, I don't even finish putting the car in park and he just jumps out.
Wow.
And every time I ask him about how was your day, he goes, "It was great." it's always positive. We had only one time out of the school year that he had a bad day, and it was because the teacher made him draw a flower. He does not like drawing flowers. He likes to draw excavators and Iron Man. So it was just more, I think, of his little confidence got a little shooken from that flower. But I'll take it. Out of a whole school year, only one bad day. That I had, kindergarten, every day was a bad day, and first grade, every day was a bad day. So second grade
Beautiful
has
difference.
yeah,
Beautiful difference.
yeah.
Another symptom that he had was the rash. He was born with eczema, and he still had a rash when I first met with him. Met with you with him. It was on his legs, the knee, ankle, arms, elbows, and so is that rash still there, or has that gone away completely?
Yeah, that's completely gone, and I haven't seen it ever even peek out slightly.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Perfect. We love winning.
Yeah, and I think that could be why he was irritable with his skin and the senses, because it probably just was more inflamed.
Sure, it's possible.
And even though maybe to the eye I saw nothing, I could understand why he would, or temperature. He would get cold very easily, did not want to jump into water, and the water would be warm. So I think just, the eczema being cured, and then possibly if there was inflammation, that would probably remove the sensitivity.
Is that different now with getting in water or temperature?
Oh, yeah.
Observation of temperature, now it's normal?
That is not a problem. So we have a little above ground swimming pool in our backyard, and I'm still sleeping, and my husband's still sleeping, and we just hear splashing in the water. So he goes in for an early morning dip. It's cold.
Very nice.
And he just comes back. Hey, Mom, I just went for a dip.
Very cool.
I don't want to even go in there. That's too cold.
Yeah, but for him, he feels good now. And that was the other thing, was the other symptom, which you did mention briefly a few minutes ago, was that when you mentioned water running, like getting into the shower, he had to go to poop. He had a bowel movement.
Yeah.
And it was every time, whenever he touched water touched him. In other words, he had a bowel movement.
Yeah.
And in addition to the water touching him, you had originally mentioned to me when we first spoke back in July of 2019, and today is July 9th of 2021, 2 years after we had originally talked, told me that even with thoughts of the water running, or water just touching his skin, or hearing the water running, made him have a bowel movement, made him feel like he needed to go have a bowel movement.
Yeah.
So it was in addition to the water touching his skin, it was even thinking of it or hearing it. So all of that totally disappeared now.
Yeah, that's gone. Yeah, gosh, that's such a faded memory now. I don't even, if you didn't bring that up, I would even forget that we ever went through that. Yeah.
I'm so happy to hear it.
Yeah.
You gotta be happy as his mother to know that this is happening, that this has happened for him.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you'd like to share with another parent, with another family, who thinks that maybe these things that you're saying, as these changes, positive changes in your son, these improvements that you've experienced from working with me, when people seem to think that it's too good to be true, and that it's not possible that this Dr. Herman, me, can actually help somebody achieve these things? Is there anything that you'd like to share? Because maybe even you thought before you came to me, well, how are we ever going to get him better? Maybe you thought it was just living a life with these various symptoms that he was suffering. So is there anything that you'd like to share?
Well, I had no doubt in your work, because I kind of already started to seek the untraditional way of healing. And with my son's behavior, I knew he would be stamped with something, ADHD or I don't know what all of those symptoms are for a child that misbehaves. So I was very confident in your work, and I understand about the triggers and how emotions of past can cause a trigger today. And so I liked hearing from my family member that went to you that you were able to find an emotional response just from a memory. So I just had confidence in this work. And I remember thinking back when he was a little 1 and 2 year old, this was a lot of triggers for him for being so young. And I felt like I read every parenting book and none of them worked. And I did a lot of self-reflecting, and I felt that nothing was working. So I understood from an early on in my motherhood that it was all emotional. And so I love that here that you would just use a statement of I love myself, and there was bacterias that were driving him. So it was really nothing I could do right or wrong, and nothing he was doing right and wrong. I just understood that he was being driven by bacterias and some emotional trapped emotions. So that was no brainer for me. I love this stuff.
Excellent. Thank you. I do too. Do you think that a parent who's obviously has a child with a behavioral disorder or a learning disorder or a sensitivity disorder, do you think that after they've tried whatever they've tried out there and they're thinking, should they give this a chance? Do you think that it would be wise for them to give this work with me a chance?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's not too good to be true. It's not at all. The changes are very, very subtle. If I right away made a journal of the different triggers my son had, what would trigger him. And I started his protocol, and I just kind of forgot about that list. But when I was done with when he was in with his protocol, it was interesting to see when you put face to face of triggers and now these no longer trigger him. It was very subtle. It wasn't a miracle on the first day. It was just very, very subtle. And then the parenting tools that we're equipped with and your mom got on how to handle this situation, then they worked. Then talking to him and calming him down worked. Then giving him tools of how to act socially here or how to deal with your frustration here, then it worked, because I felt like I was going up against a wall. I felt like really beating my head against a wall. Nothing worked. So it was noticeable just during his protocol that the tools I was trying to teach him started to work.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that you've gotten on with us on this call and taking the time out of your day and helping other parents realize that it is possible for a child to heal. And I really appreciate that you gave me the opportunity to help you and help your family, help your son get better, because I know that makes life a lot easier for you and happier.
Thank you. Thank you for your work, and thank you for your research and dedication to all of this. This is helping a lot of people.
You're more than welcome. It's my pleasure.